COVID-19 has killed more than 6,000 people around the world. As cases spike, some countries are taking radical action by closing borders and imposing mandatory quarantines on anyone arriving from overseas. Britain's Health Secretary Matt Hancock confirmed today that measures similar to ones used during wartime will soon be imposed across the UK. Anyone over 70 years old will be told to stay inside, potentially for months. Car makers will be told to produce medical equipment, and hotels will be turned into hospitals.
We are going to take the powers to make sure that we can quarantine people if they are a risk to public health, yes. And that's important, and take other action that you just normally wouldn't.
Meanwhile, Denmark closed its borders yesterday to everyone except its citizens and residents. Germany is set to follow suit, shutting borders with France, Switzerland, and Austria. The Czech Republic, which has already closed its borders, is now weighing a nationwide quarantine. And in Australia, anyone arriving will now be forced to self-isolate for 14 days, and foreign cruise ships are banned from docking in that country. Italy suffered its most deaths in a single day. 368 people died in that country in just 24 hours. Spain is the second hardest hit country in Europe, with 289 deaths and almost 8,000 confirmed cases. The government is using drones to tell its citizens to stay indoors. They can only go out to buy food and medicine. All social gatherings are banned.
Shalom Israel. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakar Kadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles in Israel who rule and teach well. To the Akim on the highways and byways pushing this word in truth and sincerity. To the brothers and sisters in the truth. Now,
how would you...
There was a lot said in that video. Oh, these blasted ads. I'm going to quickly go
like
back
a business that you can run from
Israel.
Anywhere in the world.
Just want to get this ad over. I want to quickly go back into this video quickly. There's a lot that came out in this and things that are spoken of in the scriptures. But some of the things that it mentions was, the lockdowns. These lockdowns that are happening, we know is going to bring in the famine of the word. At the end of the video, they said that they were going to stop, I think it was Italy or something like that, that they were going to stop people from social gathering. That's going to bring a famine of the word, where as brothers would go out on the street and teach, won't be able to do that again. So we can see that the Most High is slowly but surely bringing these scriptures, to the fore, is bringing them to life. Now, one of the first scriptures I want to bring out, it's ain't the order I had it in, but I'm going to go with this. This is Isaiah 33:6. It says, "And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure." So, us knowing what's happening in the scriptures, these are going to be our stability. Now, when we look at the people running around panic buying for foolishness like toilet paper, buying up things out of the store, that's because they have no wisdom and knowledge of what's to come. Whereas we, on the other hand, we know that these things must happen for us to get the kingdom. So as we see these things happening, we prepare ourselves by making sure that we keep our faith strong, that we're still doing the will of the Father. That's how we prepare ourselves. We don't want to be caught short when Yahushua returns. But these people now, they've got no wisdom and no knowledge of what's to come. And it says, and the wisdom and knowledge, that's going to be the strength of our salvation. Because us keeping that wisdom and knowledge, Yahweh Ratazah will see us saved in that day. Where is this? If I can find this in this. One thing it said,
that measures similar to ones used during wartime will soon be imposed across the UK. So, anyone over 70 years old.
So these are things they're going to start doing now, putting in measures that they didn't used to have before. There's something he said I wanted to bring
will be
out.
told to stay inside, potentially for months.
Now, this is the stupidness of it. You can see that what these people are doing is for show, because He's got gloves on. They're in a pub. He's got gloves on. He's got a mask on. And he's got the cup to his face.
Car makers will be told to produce
You know, it's like people are bugging out and doing foolishness, you know. But we, on the other hand, you know, we're taking these things seriously because we know the times that we're in. Now, there's a point I wanted.
And hotels will be
Let me see
turned
if I can
into
find. I
hospitals.
think it comes up after this.
We are going to take the powers to make sure that we can quarantine people if they are a risk to public health. Yes. And that's important. And take other action that you just normally wouldn't.
And that's the bit that I wanted, was they were to take other actions that they normally wouldn't. Now, in certain countries, they've already got state of emergency locked in. That itself gives them powers to take measures that they wouldn't normally be able to do, to even cut your freedom and your rights. And this coronavirus is giving them the powers to do things that they wouldn't normally do. And you know, our people need to really wake up. You know, we need to wake up and smell the coffee, as they say, because things are just going to get worse. But for us, this is what the scripture says. This is Matthew 24:6. It says, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumours of wars. See that ye be not troubled." So we, seeing all these things, you know, having the wisdom and knowledge that the Most High have given us, you know, the understanding of the things that we read in the scriptures, we shouldn't really be troubled over these things. And when I say be troubled, like these other nations doing the things that they do, panicking because they're not sure of what's going to happen. It says, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And for us to get the kingdom, these things that we read about in the scriptures, these have to come to pass, people, you know. But we shouldn't be troubled over them, you know. At the end of the day, we should be praying for faith so that we can endure these things, you know, endure to the end. It says, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, pestilence, and earthquakes in diverse places. And you know, right about now, we're in the time of one of those pestilence that we're reading off in the scriptures. It says, all these are the beginning of sorrows. So there's still worse to come. It says, then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. So when we see these things happening, you know, for us to get the kingdom, we have to realize these things have to happen, and we must go through these things, and these things will get worse. You know, like I said, the state of emergency that they've put in certain countries, I feel that will spread. You know, what they're doing now, they're shutting borders, which is also in the scriptures, you know, where it speaks about in 2nd Ezra, a man shall desire to get into a city and shall not be able to. So they're stopping other people from coming into their own town. And we should take comfort from these things in the sense that, one, we know that the scriptures are true. And if these things are prophesied in the scriptures to happen, and they're coming through, then we can take comfort knowing that as long as we play our part and do what the Most High says we should do, we'll be safe in that day, you know. Safe in the sense that we'll be risen to get the kingdom and not risen for judgment, you know. We're hoping that if we die in this truth, when we're raised, we're not raised for judgment, but we're going to hear those words, well done, my good and faithful servant. So it says, and then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And, you know, those that are offended are the brothers and sisters that fall out of this truth. You know, we don't want to be like that. We want to be one of the ones that endure to the end. I think it says it further down, hold on. Yeah, verse 13. But he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. And this is what we want to pray for that faith to endure to the end. You know, the faith to be able to see these things coming and still endure, not fall out like some brothers and sisters have done already. Because, you know, as we read here in Acts, which is Acts chapter 14 verse 22, it says, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith. And this is what we should be doing with one another, exhorting one another to continue in the faith, strengthening each other through our knowledge. If a brother and sister is feeling a bit weak in faith, just encourage them. It says, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must, it doesn't say might, it says we must, through much tribulation, enter into the kingdom of the Most High. And what's that tribulation that we'll have to go through? That's the famines, the pestilence, us being delivered up, being afflicted, to the point where some might even have to lose their life. These are the tribulations that we have to go through. And these are things that we know are written in the scriptures. And these are the things, the knowledge and wisdom that's going to be the stability of our times. Because we know these things are going to happen and must happen for us to get the kingdom. So this is Sirach, Ecclesiasticus chapter 10, verse 4. It says, the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time it will set over it one that is profitable. So for this kingdom, for us to get our kingdom, this kingdom has to go. And the power of this kingdom is at the end, is in the hand of the Lord, The scripture speaks about the Lord setting up, him ruling in the kingdom of men. So what we see happening now is all the Lord's doing, and he's doing this for our sakes at the end of the day. We have to remember that, even though we have to get the kingdom through much tribulation, these are things which the Lord is doing for our sakes. Is purging out the dross out of Israel, and at the same time is punishing the nations for what they've done to us. So we have to take comfort in these things, as hard as it may seem. Now this is verse 8, Sirach chapter 10, verse 8 says, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. And that's why one of the reasons why this kingdom is going down, because we know it was gotten by unrighteous dealings, riches gotten by deceit. And such a kingdom cannot last, So the kingdom is going to be translated from one people to another. And who's the next that's going to receive this kingdom? That's the elect of Israel. As we read here in 2 Ezra 6 and verse 7, it says, then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times, or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And the end of the first is these things that we're seeing happening here now. These are signs showing us that this kingdom is coming to an end. So it says, and he said unto me, verse 8, and he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So we need to take comfort in this, knowing that this is the last kingdom upon the earth, and the next kingdom is going to be ours. But for us to get that kingdom, these things must come to pass, So as it says there in Matthew chapter 24 and 6, says, see that ye be not troubled. So this is what I want to leave the brothers and sisters with, For us to get the kingdom, we're going to have to go through much tribulation. But in all of this, as long as we endure to the end, the Father keeps our faith strong. When we see these things happening, it says, see that ye be not troubled. And with that, I'm going to close out. I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakar Kadash, Kwam Nasrallah.